I ask that you please find your receipts at this time. As a reminder, please silence or turn off all electronic devices. The ceremony will begin shortly. Good morning and welcome to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. I am Technical Sergeant Joseph LaSalvia, and I will be your narrator for today's ceremony. Today, the men and women of Air Forces Southern pay special tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Tobiah Jones on the occasion of his retirement from active duty, culminating over 22 years of faithful and honorable service to the United States Air Force and this great nation. Officiating today's ceremony is the Director of Communications and Cyber, Air Forces Southern, Colonel Eddie Edwards, Jr. We would like to introduce the family members, Colonel Jones' wife, Kozwe, and their son, Elias. His brother, Justin. Colonel Jones' friends, Miss Kathy Ellis, Mr. Dave Carney, Mr. Tim Olwine, and Mr. Theo Tupaz, and his son, Drew. Instructors from the Nogales High School JROTC Unit, AC 952, Chief Master Sergeant Retired, Raul Verdugo, and Master Sergeant Retired, Frederick Harvey. Joining us virtually is Lieutenant Colonel Jones' father, Barney, and his mother, Diana. We would also like to welcome all other family and friends who are in the crowd today or watching virtually. We would also like to recognize our distinguished guests, the Director of Manpower, Personnel and Services, AFSEP, Ms. Jody James. The Secretary General of the System of Cooperation of the American Air Forces, AFSEP, Colonel David Ewing. The Deputy Director, AFSAP A6, Mr. Don David Wright, his wife, Ronnie, and their granddaughter, Olivia. The Senior Enlisted Leader, AFSAP A6, Chief Master Sergeant Justin Graves. The Commander, 612 Air Communications Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Coster. The Senior Enlisted Leader, 612 Air Communications Squadron, Chief Master Sergeant Joshua Crawford. The Deputy Director, 612 Air Communications Squadron, Miss Gracie Alvarez. And Chief Master Sergeant Retired, Donald Brown. We would also like to welcome all Davis-Monthan Air Force Base senior leaders and spouses, our local civilian leaders, the men and women of Air Forces Southern, along with all other family and friends from the local community. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, the presentation of the colors of the Nogales High School Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, the singing of the national anthem by Mrs. Tanya Carter, and the invocation given by Captain Zachary Butler.
Post the colors.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad streets and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Color. Right. Face. Forward. March.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's pray. Our Lord and Heavenly Father, we come to you humbly with the spirit of thanksgiving and praise. Today is a joyous occasion as we celebrate Lieutenant Colonel Jones' 22 years of service that he dedicated to this great nation. We thank you for blessing his family and for their dedication to him and the Air Force life. Lord God, we ask that you continue to keep your hand of love and protection around Lieutenant Colonel Jones and his family as they enter this next chapter. Be with them as he transitions to new, exciting opportunities and continue to bless their path. Fill his spirit with one of peace and fulfillment. Lord, I want to personally thank you for placing Colonel Jones in our path. His leadership, patience, and mentorship have a profound effect on me as a young officer and leader, as well as others around me. I ask that you continue to foster these qualities in him as he begins to mentor new people. We ask all these things in your holy name, Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Mrs. Carter and Captain Butler. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, we would like to introduce the Director of Communications and Cyber, Air Forces Southern, Colonel Eddie Edwards, Jr.
It's a privilege to stand here today to celebrate the retirement of Lieutenant Colonel Tobiah Jones. Thank you, Toby, for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. We worked together for about 4 or 5 months. As I told his brother Justin yesterday, when I showed up, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm retiring." I'm like, "My reputation?" No, but Toby, I know I'm going to say it multiple times in the speech, but I just want to start off by saying thank you for everything you did for ASAL / 12th Air Force. Really appreciate it. If you want to understand what quiet, consistent leadership over 2 decades looks like, you don't need a doctorate manual. You just need to look at Toby. First, I want to recognize some very special people. Toby's wife, Josue, their son Elias, his brother Justin, who traveled from Watertown, New York, his parents, Diana and Barney, who are with us in spirit and will definitely see the ceremony. Whether you're here in person or watching later, today is as much about you, your sacrifice and support, as it is about Toby's service in uniform. I also want to recognize the Nogales High School Air Force JROTC cadets. I said it that way because when I came along, it was JROTC. The young men and women of Nogales corrected me this morning, so I got it. Who are presenting the colors, folding the flag, and serving as escorts. For many of you, this is your first retirement ceremony. You picked a good one. You're seeing what a full life of service looks like, and I hope you remember this day. Toby's story begins in Carthage, New York, a small upstate town that looks like American childhood, right? You think about American childhood. Little League Baseball has a Carthage fair. Kids on bikes until the street lights came on, Halloween sprints from house to house, Christmas decorations lining the streets, and a community where everyone knew everyone, sometimes more than you wanted them to. Toby attended Catholic school at the Carthage Augustinian Academy and played Little League with future senior master retired Ed Kinahan. Those early days on the field and in that tight-knit community shaped the teammate, mentor, and leader he would become. As he grew up, that sense of team and responsibility followed him into his first career steps. Toby didn't start his career in uniform. He first stepped into the civilian IT world, working for Deloitte Consulting and Blue Cross Blue Shield in Rhode Island. He was already solving complex problems and supporting large organizations. But like many of us after 9/11, he felt a pull to serve in a different way. That internal pull became impossible to ignore. So in May 2003, he raised his right hand, took the oath, and joined the United States Air Force through officer training school. He traded business cards for a name tape and corporate deadlines for no-fail missions. From that point on, he chose a life of service to something larger than himself. And once he stepped into uniform, he never stopped pushing himself to contribute at a higher level. From those early days as a new lieutenant, Toby began building a career at the intersection of technology, security, and partnership. He didn't rely only on talent, he invested in himself. He earned an Associate's of Arts degree in Korean Language Studies from the Defense Language Institute, and then he added a Master of Arts in National Security Studies with an Asian Studies concentration. That's just not academic decoration. That's a leader building an intellectual toolkit he knew he would need for increasingly complex missions. Armed with that foundation, he stepped into one of the defining early operational chapters of his career. In 2009, Toby deployed to Al Udeid Air Base, Qatar. There, he and his team expanded radar and sensor infrastructure for the Battle Space Command and Control Center and finalized communications for a brand new Special Operations Theater headquarters. The result, for the first time, that theater could direct and sustain air superiority across the Arabian Gulf and Afghanistan from a modern, integrated command and control node. It wasn't glamorous, it didn't make headlines, but it gave combatant commanders the ability to see more, decide faster, and protect our forces and our partners more effectively. That deployment showed what happens when technical expertise, operational understanding, and steady leadership come together. And instead of coasting on that success, Toby chose to take on an even steeper challenge. He volunteered for one of the toughest courses, the Defense Language Institute's Korean Language School. Not easy. And by the way, he was approaching 40 when he decided to take on these tasks, right? Sorry, Toby. It's true. Most people at that stage look for electives. Toby chose one of the hardest programs in the Department of Defense. Day after day, he sat in the classroom with much younger classmates, grinding through a demanding curriculum and a language that isn't exactly known for being easy. He powered through it and graduated, proving that discipline and attitude matter more than age. You're probably older that perseverance opened the door to his next chapter and to a role where every bit of that language and regional expertise would matter. If you ask Toby which chapter stands out the most, he will often point to his 3 years at the U.S. Embassy in Seoul. There he served as a director of Air Force programs for C4ISR and munitions. He didn't just support operations from afar. He helped shape the capabilities of a key ally sitting on the front line of global security. He helped the Republic of Korea's Air Force acquire F-35, Global Hawks, and other advanced munitions capabilities that anchor deterrence on the Korean Peninsula and help keep the peace in Northeast Asia. One mission in particular highlights his impact. When a Republic of Korea refueler broke down, 6 Korean F-15s needed a place to land. On paper, it was just a divert. Actually, it was a diplomatically sensitive event that touched long-standing tension and political history among the U.S., the Republic of Korea, and Japan. Toby worked together with the Air Force attaché to coordinate the landing of those F-15s at Yokota Air Base, Japan. That one action required technical understanding, diplomatic finesse, and strategic judgment. It contributed quietly but meaningfully to building trust and cooperation among 3 critical democracies in the Indo-Pacific. After years of operating at a high-stakes regional environment, Toby transitioned from shaping allied capabilities to shaping the next generation of our own airmen. One of the most consequential chapters in his career came when he took command of the 338 Training Squadron at Keesler Air Force Base, Mississippi. Over this tour, he and his team trained, mentored, and safeguarded nearly 3,000 airmen as they moved through technical training, early adulthood, 2 hurricanes, inspections, and all the everyday challenges that come with transitioning from civilian teenager to an airman in the profession of arms. Commanding a training squadron is not a spotlight job. It's more like being responsible for an entire small town of young people who are away from home for the first time, learning a new trade and testing every boundary they can find. And there were some unforgettable moments. Now, I asked Toby, was there anything he didn't want me to talk about? He said, nah, you can talk about anything. Okay, here we go. All right, so there was the hot sauce challenge. It's like talking about. One enthusiastic student drank far too much hot sauce. Sorry, he vomited it all back up, saw red, became convinced he was bleeding internally. That episode ended, as you might expect, with a trip to the ER. That's his first trip to the ER. And a very relieved young man. The lesson, hot sauce can hurt your pride more than your body, and your commander will still show up for you. The next one. Then there was the pine saw incident. I read that out. The pine saw incident of 2021. Students used so much cleaner on the floors that they temporarily lost their sense of smell and thought they all had COVID. Once again, another trip to the ER, more lessons in safety, and a story that every MTI involved will tell for the rest of their careers. And of course, the laundry situation. Many students arrive not knowing how to do laundry. Most commanders don't expect to teach grown adults how to wash clothes to end up in their official job description. Get it up in the order. But Toby took it all in stride. For him, it was simple. If they're in your formation, you help them grow on duty and off. Throughout hurricanes, healthcare scares, and everyday crises, Toby led from the front, kept people safe, and built airmen who were ready for the operational Air Force. And to the instructors, NTIs, civilians, and staff who served with him at the 338, thank you. Your energy, your long hours, and your care for those airmen turned a set of buildings into a crucible for the future of our Air Force. Toby will be the first to say none of that happens without you. After shaping thousands of brand new airmen, the Air Force asked him to apply that same mix of technical depth and people-first leadership on a broader stage. In his most recent chapter at AFSAL, Toby has taken that leadership and scaled it across a region. He has worked with partners from 10 countries across Latin America and the Caribbean, sharing U.S. cyber knowledge and expertise in a time of increasing competition and malign influence in the Southcom AOR. That work matters. It strengthens democratic partners, protects critical networks, and deepens trust across the hemisphere. And again, he did it as part of a team. To the airmen, civilians, and international partners who worked with Toby here at AFSAL, thank you. You trusted his leadership, you executed the mission, and you turned plans into real capability. If you zoom out across all of these chapters, from a small town in New York to corporate IT, LUD, DLI, the embassy in Seoul, the 338 Training Squadron, and now here at AFSAL, a clear pattern emerges. Toby goes where the mission is complex, where technology underpins operations, and where relationships decides outcomes. And every time he leaves the organization better, the mission stronger, and the people more capable. Behind all of that is a clear, simple leadership philosophy. This is awesome, Toby. Thank you for this. I'm gonna keep it for myself. I hope you don't mind. First, don't chase credit. Toby believes good work speaks for itself. He gives credit to the team and takes responsibility when things go wrong. That humility builds trust. Second, challenge people beyond what they think they can do. He spots potential and pushes people toward it with support, not pressure. Airmen, foreign partners, staff officers, so many of them stepped into bigger roles because he believed they could. Third, stay positive and expect great things. Toby genuinely believes your experiences reflect your mindset. That doesn't mean ignoring risk or sugarcoating reality. It means walking into hard situations with the belief that your team can win and doing the hard work to make it happen. That mindset has shaped thousands of airmen and partners over the last 20 plus years. And like every great leader, he has never walked this path alone. Close away. You met Toby in Washington, D.C. During his first assignment at Bowling Air Force Base while you were teaching Japanese to U.S. government personnel. Your first date was at a Thai restaurant on New Year's Day in 2004. He said he was very interested. But then he was worried because you ordered a vegetarian meal and he was like, oh, man, I may end up being a vegan because he loves meat. But it all worked out okay. You know, close away, you had every intention of returning to Japan when your work visa expired. And instead you signed up without a uniform for almost 22 years as an Air Force spouse. You moved around the world, supported long hours and deployments, and managed the home front every time the Air Force changed the plan. The Air Force officially recognizes one member of the family, but everyone in this room understands that we have received 2 full-time servants in you and Toby. Thank you. Elias, you grew up as a resilient military kid. You became a straight-A student. You founded and led the Marana High School Trap and Ski Club, which evolved into the Second Amendment Club. And now you're considering Army ROTC. Army ROTC at the University of Arizona, aiming for a career in special operations. That is awesome. That path says a lot about what you've seen at home. Quiet service, high standards, and courage. And then there's this, the annual Halloween horror tradition, right? Haunted houses, haunted mazes, jump scares, and horror nights at the Universal or Knott's Berry Farm. That's a father and son ritual that you and Toby both cherish. I know this year you couldn't do it because your dad was in Skillbridge, but I'm pretty sure after today, you'll have plenty of time to be scared on purpose. To Diana and Barney, you raised a son who chose to serve at a high level for a long time. Your values live on in his leadership and his family. Thank you. And Justin, thank you for being here today. Families like this don't happen by accident. They reflect years of support, shared sacrifice, and love. Thank you. To the airmen, guardians, civilians, and especially the cadets in the room, this ceremony is not just about looking back. It's also about looking forward. One day this will be you or someone you've led. When that day comes, your legacy will not be about your ribbon rack or your duty titles. It will be the people you developed, the teams you built, and the trust you earned. If you're looking for a blueprint, you have one sitting here right in front of you, Lieutenant Colonel Toby Jones. So what comes next? Toby plans to stay in the local area and hopes to join the Nogales High School Air Force JROTC unit as an instructor. That feels still right, Toby. That feels right. The same leader who has shaped thousands of airmen and built international partnerships will now stand in front of high school cadets, helping them discover their potential, their path, and their own sense of service. He also plans something novel for a military member: travel. And that's travel without being on TY orders. He says he'll visit family in New York and Japan. He'll travel with Causeway just because they decide to, not because of what anything happens. I like it. And he'll keep serving his community, whether that's on his HOA board or in other local roles. It's a new chapter, but it's still a life of service. When we step back and we look at Toby's career, a few things stand out clearly. He expanded and modernized warfighting capabilities in the Middle East. He strengthened a key ally in Korea and built trust among the U.S., Republic of Korea, and Japan. He shared cyber expertise with partners across Latin America and the Caribbean. He safely led 3,000 young airmen through training, storms, literally and figuratively, and more than a few learning opportunities. He did all that with humility, high expectations, and a positive mindset. Toby, on behalf of AFSAL, the United States Air Force, and a grateful nation, thank you. Thank you for more than 2 decades of faithful service. Thank you for the airmen you developed, the allies you empowered, and the missions you enabled. Thank you for the nights you spent worrying about the people, the hard calls you made, and the steady leadership you brought to every team. To Kozaway, Elias, your parents, your brother, and your extended family, thank you for sharing him with us. Your sacrifice is real, and we are deeply grateful. Toby, you've worn the cloth of this nation with honor. You are now and will always be a United States Airman. We are proud to call you one of our own. As you step into this next chapter, no more PPRs or OPDs, EPDs, no more surprise taskers at 1700 on a Friday for people like me, and hopefully fewer emergency room visits triggered by hot sauce or cleaning supplies. I hope you find rest, joy, and new ways to serve on your terms. The Air Force will move forward as it must, but there will be a gap. You've earned the right to pass the torch to those you've mentored, to watch them take what you built and to carry it further. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause for Lieutenant Colonel Tobiah Toby Jones and his family, and in thanking them for their extraordinary service to the United States of America. All right, so my speech is done. We're going to present an award, and then I just got one more question for you. Sure you're ready to retire? Absolutely. All right. Ready? All right.
Thank you, Colonel Edwards. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as Colonel Edwards presents Lieutenant Colonel Jones with the Meritorious Service Medal.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal has been awarded to Tobiah M. Jones, 25 July 2022 to 28 February 2026. Lieutenant Colonel Tobiah M. Jones distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Chief, Plans and Operations, Communications Directorate, Air Force's Southern, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Arizona. During this period, Colonel Jones leveraged his mastery of international defense collaboration, overhauled the cybersecurity cooperation strategy, and interlaced operations with 10 mission partners. He deftly synchronized 4 lines of effort, extended the command's reach from 5 to 31 nations, and ultimately delivered a 250% surge in cyber engagements. Moreover, Colonel Jones oversaw a rapid deployment of personnel in support of the presidential visit to South America, whereby he positioned 18 personnel and $1 million in cyber assets across 4 sites in 2 countries. Finally, Colonel Jones' tenacity and insight drove 3 cyber planners in the acquisition of 25 frequencies in 9 days, which expanded command and control by 330 kilometers during a crisis in Haiti and postured U.S. forces to execute non-combatant evacuation operations. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Jones culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Please remain standing for the reading of the retirement order.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. By order of the Secretary of the Air Force and the Department of the Air Force, in accordance with Special Order Number AC-004368, Lieutenant Colonel Tobiah M. Jones is relieved from active duty, Air Force's Southern, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Arizona, and is retired from active duty with the United States Air Force effective 1 March 2026 in the grade of Lieutenant Colonel after more than 22 years of faithful and honorable duty. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Colonel Edwards will now present the Certificate of Retirement. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America to all who shall see these presents. Greetings. This is to certify that Lieutenant Colonel Tobiah M. Jones, having served faithfully and honorably, will be retired from the United States Air Force on the 1st of March 2026. Signed, General David W. Alden, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, and Major General David A. Nino, Commander, Air Forces Southern. Colonel Edwards will now present the Certificate of Appreciation that Lieutenant Colonel Jones received from President Donald J. Trump. I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of our grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of the military service. I trust that in the coming years, you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you have served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitments, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. At this time, Colonel Edwards will present a gift on behalf of AFSAF A6.
Toby, men and women of South A6, thank you for everything you've done for us. You're going to be missed. So this is just a small token of our appreciation, so you never forget us. And again, thanks.
Thank you.
At this time, Kozue will come forward to pin on the Air Force retired lapel pin as a symbol of Lieutenant Colonel Jones' faithful and devoted service. The United States Air Force retirement lapel pin is symbolic of 20 years or more of honorable service to our country. Retirees should wear the pin proudly to signify their contributions to America's welfare and security. Colonel Edwards will now present Kozue with her Certificate of Appreciation. Certificate of Appreciation from the Office of the Commander, Air Forces Southern. Dear Mrs. Jones, today we honor your husband, Toby, on the occasion of his retirement. At the same time, we wish to recognize your own countless sacrifices and contributions on behalf of your adopted country and our Air Force family. Your devotion, resilience, and quiet strength in support of your husband's career were instrumental to his service to our nation and will not be forgotten. My wife, Amy, joins me and all the men and women of Headquarters Air Forces Southern in extending our best wishes to you both for the future. Signed, Major General David A. Lino, Commander, Air Forces Southern. Thank you, Kozue. Colonel Edwards will now present a Certificate of Appreciation to Elias. Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Air Force. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate to Elias S. Jones for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for your support, which gave strength and purpose to your father's career. Colonel Edwards will now present the Military Parents Medal to Lieutenant Colonel Jones' parents, Barney and Diana. The sacrifice the parent of a military member renders is beyond compare. As a parent, they willingly offer their blessing when the child is compelled to serve their country. If it were not for the military parents, through their child's service, America would not enjoy all of the freedoms that exist today. The Military Parents Medal is cast in gold and silver colors, which symbolize how meaningful you are to me. Within the gold center is a compass rose depicting the guidance and direction that you have instilled within me. The two-piece laurel leaf wreath presents your constant offering of love and support for the decisions I have made throughout my life. The raised rippled top edging is indicative of the many opportunities you offer to me. There are 4 stars around the lower half of the silver ring, symbolic of your teachings of duty, honor, integrity, and devotion. In the lower center of the outer ring is a shield for your teachings of traditions and respect for our country. The Military Parents Medal is my way of saying you were then, as now, one of the most important parts of my life. It was your understanding, love, and assurance that enabled me to know what I was accomplishing was important. Thank you for being there for me. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated as the Nogales
1777 and 1960, the shape and the design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes present the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The color of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes firmness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally a symbol of liberty, and the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was moved at sea with stars and stripes, waving after the British shelling of the Baltimore Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon today. Our flag flies on the constellation of the Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on a thin flash of our aircraft that harm space in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the hearts of every airman who serves our great nation, and sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force nor on the flag we proudly cherish. In 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us, for generations to come. By displaying the flag and leaving it in distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on land and skies. Around the world, it is our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the flag's privileges and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a people and hope to one and all may it live.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Tobiah M. Jones, retired.
Thank you, everyone. Unlike Colonel Edwards, I can't do this. I can no longer do this without special glasses. For those who have retired once already, I was confused. heard it at other retirement ceremonies, but to hear it at my own, it's a little bit different. I just want to really navigate it. Right up front, to everyone who's here today, absolutely on behalf of my family, I want to say that we feel incredibly grateful and humbled that you're here joining us for this momentous day. It's a big milestone in our lives. We're incredibly blessed. Today is a day that we'll absolutely never forget. For our distinguished visitors, a special thank you for you all at South. It's very, very busy these days, and I know that as leaders, you are incredibly busy day to day, and it takes a lot out of your schedule to come here and spend time with us and celebrate with us. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to try to keep my comments relatively short. Really, it's just going to be a whole bunch of gratitude to friends and family, both past and present, who have helped make today a reality for our family. Colonel Edwards, a sincere thanks for officiating our ceremony today. I know we didn't work together very long, and I know that your schedule is incredibly busy these days, and that this is a big lift, and it takes a lot of time and energy to do this right. But you really summarized my career and my experiences eloquently, and I think to Captain Hum, Senior Preston, and all the airmen who have helped them prepare this event, these things are not as easy to plan as they seem. There's a lot that goes into it, and your attention to detail and your efforts made other people off the edge. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Tech Sergeant LaSalle, best narrator ever. Always does a fantastic job. It's been an absolute privilege to work with you over this last year or two. Sergeant LaSalle is heading off to officer training school in February, and I know that you're going to do an amazing job and you're going to become a phenomenal officer and a phenomenal leader. Staff Sergeant Keys, he stepped up and volunteered to be our proffer. You can't have a ceremony without a proffer. So thank you for doing that and for representing the ACONs. Appreciate it. Captain Butler. So we had the chaplain lined up originally. But Captain Butler, I know he's very religious, and I know that he has some great thoughts about I just knew he would do an awesome job of communication. So I asked him if he'd be willing to do that, and he jumped right at it as I expected he would. So I worked with Captain Butler for over 2 years, and really he just supported me for 2 years. It was phenomenal. Security cooperation. He went from knowing nothing about security cooperation to becoming the foremost expert in security cooperation with Latin America and the Caribbean for A6 in a very short period of time. Thank you, sir. Your commitment to the mission is unmatched. You're highly capable, and I know that you are going to do phenomenal things in your future. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ms. Carter, I don't think she's here any longer. She sang our anthem for us. So I was here about 3.5 years ago I arrived. I attended a retirement or a promotion, I can't remember what it was. She sang the anthem, and I said, wow, if I retired here, I need to find a way to get her to sing my anthem, because she's amazing. She sings it the best I think I've heard in my entire 22-year career. Her voice elevated our ceremony, and I'm really, really thankful that she's here this week. So you saw that we had the cadets from AZ 952 here in the Valley High School. They presented the colors and they conducted the flag floating ceremony. I truly admire them coming and doing that today in front of a room full of active duty airmen. These are high school cadets. That is not easy to do. I'm sure they were under tremendous pressure. But boy, did they perform flawlessly. You guys did an awesome job. Thank you. For those who don't know, Edwards mentioned it a little bit. There's some history recently between me and Dolly's Careful Shooter ROTC, JROTC. I performed my Skill Bridge, and for those who aren't familiar with Skill Bridge, it's a transitional internship program the Air Force allows us to do. We work with a company in the industry or work with another government agency. I took the opportunity to instruct junior ROTC cadets for 2 months this past September and October. Prior to my internship, I didn't really know much about junior ROTC, and I didn't really expect it was something I would pursue in the future, but I thought I'd just give it a shot. After my time with the cadets in the valleys, I absolutely knew that a second career as instructor was something I wanted to pursue. They gave me a new mission after repairman, and I'm really, really thankful for that gift. That said, I want to recognize Chief Retired Hugo and Master Sergeant Frederick Harvey, the two current Nogales instructors. During busy school days, it is not easy to find time to help students prepare for something like this, and I really thank you for your dedication and for helping them. Chief Verdugo is freshly retired from the UNG. He's the newest instructor in Nogales. I didn't get an opportunity to work with him much at all. We didn't overlap very much, but word is that the cadets absolutely love him, and from my interactions with him, I know that he's going to bring a wise and dignified presence to the cadets, and he'll be a fantastic mentor to them. So Master Sergeant Harvey, he holds a really special place in my JROTC experience. He was my instructional mentor. When I showed up at Nogales, it was his job to make me an instructor and show me all the important things of working with high school students, which, although I have a 17-year-old, I have not interacted with high school students much at all prior to showing up at Nogales. That was probably half the challenge, just figuring out how to interact with young adults. I learned so much from him and was immensely impressed by the care, empathy, and respect that he showed every single cadet. He loves his cadets. And I can only hope to become half the instructor that he is. Across the board, he's loved by the staff and the students at Nogales. And it has to be mentioned, absolutely must be mentioned, that Master Sergeant Harvey is currently fulfilling his 28th year as a junior ROTC instructor at Nogales. I've done the math. He retired in 1997. He's a 24-year Master Sergeant. That's 52 years serving our Air Force and our young people in uniform. He truly maintains a record of exemplary service, and I'm honored to have had the opportunity to work under him. His legacy in Nogales is going to carry on long after he eventually turns into uniform. To my parents, they couldn't travel here today. They will see the recording. I absolutely, goes without saying, I wouldn't be where I am were not for my parents. They always, throughout my youth, supported me unconditionally. They never tried to vector me down a path that they thought was best for me. They just trusted my choices, made sure I had a great education, and always demonstrated enthusiasm for me and my accomplishments. Honestly, they just wanted me and my family to be healthy, happy, and prosperous. So I'm really, really fortunate to have them in my lifestyle, and I look forward to spending more time with them now that I have a little bit more time. My brother Justin is here from New York, and while my parents couldn't be here in person, it's really a blessing to have him here. He's a busy guy, but he always makes time to be with our family for the important times. Your presence makes this day easily, Justin. Thank you for being here. Kathy and Tim came here from Northern Virginia. They're longtime friends and former colleagues of my wife, Kozue. As the Colonel mentioned, Kozue arrived here over 20 years ago from Japan. She worked as a language instructor and an administrative assistant at a language school in Northern Virginia where Judy and Kathy were working. They were far more than co-workers. They were like a big brother and a big sister to her. They looked out for her in every aspect of her life here in the U.S., making sure that her time here was productive, safe, and really memorable. And to be honest, my wife had been here for a while and I met her. So if they had not taken care of her, there's a reasonable chance that she might have left before we had a chance to meet. Thank you both for your friendship and your kindness. Your care for Kozue changed the course of our lives, and we'll always be grateful for that. Dave is a friend of Kathy and Tim's. He came along today from Massachusetts, Western Mass. I just met Dave last night, but he's a great guy. Kathy vouches for him. I really hope you enjoyed the ceremony today, Dave, and I hope that you leave this weekend touring around Arizona with some fond memories. My long-term friend Theo, too, has this year with his son Drew. Theo and I met through a mutual friend way back in college days. A long time ago now. But it wasn't until a few years later when my brother and I relocated from New York to Rhode Island for a couple of years that our friendship really, really grew. I was there kind of living in my brother's apartment, crashing on his sofa and working at Blue Cross and prepping my officer training school application. It was my plan at the time. I was pretty much interested in OTS. Theo and his friend group there in Rhode Island embraced us and just kind of took us all around New England, Rhode Island, New York City, etc. for like 2 years. And as is typical of military friendships, I don't think we've seen each other in person in like 18 years. It's been a long time. And I just met Drew for the first time this morning. So, I have to say, Theo, honestly, I think I speak for both myself and Nelson, those 2 years in Rhode Island, some of the fondest memories of my life. It was a great time. It was a really great time. I'm grateful that our friendship endures. Thank you. To my wife, Rosa, we did it. It's really almost surreal to be here today, embarking on an entirely new phase, one that looks unlike the last 20 plus years. And I realized as I was preparing the ceremony that my wife's never known me not being an airman. It's just been that way since we met, right? She also had no idea what she was getting into when she married me. Her intent was to spend a very short period of time here in the U.S., bolster up her English, get some work experience, and then head back home, be close to family, get a job, and live out her days in Japan. That's absolutely the plan. Instead, she ended up on this roller coaster Air Force journey, 7 PCS moves, 8 duty stations. She's seen more of the U.S. than most Japanese people ever will. And she got a bonus 3 years in Korea. She's an introvert. She thrives on routine. I know that her support in my career challenged her to grow in ways that she never could have anticipated. Because while laden with blessings, Air Force life wasn't always easy for her. She cried twice when we had new PCS moved. The first move from Virginia, which is the only place she'd ever lived in the U.S., to Ohio, which was in her mind an incredible backwater that she was terrified of. Quick note on old Air Force life. I was a young lieutenant at the time that we had those PCS orders to write at. And someone told me, hey, if you go to the Airman and Family Readiness Center, they have videos you can rent. And you can show your spouse what a duty station looks like.
Bad idea.
Yeah, I did that. The first clue that I shouldn't have brought it home was that it was on VHS tape. This was 2006. I think that video was recorded in like 1991. Yeah, it was so depressing. It was terrible. Terrible. She cried harder after seriously, it was terrible. The second time was when we received very short notice orders for my command assignment in Mississippi. We had a pretty good life going in New Mexico. She's very comfortable. We all were quite comfortable there. And those were unexpected orders. And basically, I went home and said, hey, pack it up. We're leaving ASAP for Mississippi. And that was hard. That was hard. But she always kept our household running and our son more than well cared for over countless TDYs, trips, deployments, etc. And she did it with grace and commitment, sharing and supporting my long-term goal of a 20-plus year Air Force career. So I think it's a common thing to hear someone say to their spouse when they're retiring, I couldn't have done it without you. And I thought about that. And I decided, well, I actually could have done it without my wife. But it would be just me, single Toby Jones, running through 20-some-odd years of my life in pursuit of an Air Force career. that would have been meaningful, and while I certainly would have driven a much nicer car than I do now, I can say that life would have been comparatively hollow and empty without you. Almost everything that matters in my life is because of you. And I can't imagine what my future would look like if you hadn't joined me on this Air Force journey. So as young adults, we were at best ambivalent about becoming parents. If it happened, that happened. If it didn't, that was okay too. Be thanks. After 18 years of being a father, though, I can absolutely say I can't imagine what my life would be like if my son hadn't been in it. His sense of adventure and truly full-on embrace of Air Force life always made PCS moves more exciting and more harrowing. I knew that if Kozo was crying, he would still be over there like, great, we're going somewhere new. That'll be fun. Let's try it. And the ease with which he's always socially integrated, the resiliency is through the roof. I mean, 7 schools in 12 years, and he never missed a beat, never complained. It's been really great though. We've been here his entire high school tenure in Arizona, so he's got a good experience, a little bit of stability here at the back end. You've always been wise beyond your years, and now that you're pursuing your career in military service, most likely, although with the Army, I know that you're going to be an exceptional citizen, soldier, and leader. To Colonel Edwards, Mr. Wright, A6, and the entire App South team, I couldn't have asked for a more rewarding and thrilling final assignment. The nature of our missions changed a lot since I arrived in 2022, but I can sincerely say that I've never had the opportunity to work with such a professional, capable, and caring team of airmen in civil service. The E6 and App South teams have been a second family to me these last 3 years, and serving with them really put a bow on the gift that's been my career. Your professionalism and camaraderie made this assignment unforgettable. I'm proud to have been a contributor to App South's very important mission. In closing, I just want to say that the Air Force has provided me and my family with opportunities that we could have never imagined. I really had a charmed career. I've told my airmen that it's been a charmed career for me. I've been blessed beyond words, and I'll always be proud of my time serving our absolutely amazing nation. The Air Force made me a better person, a better leader, and gave me opportunities to positively impact airmen and their families in ways that no other career would have. It's absolutely the most rewarding aspect. So we had a uniform inspection, the first one in a long time, earlier this year. And Colonel Hamilton had retired, Colonel Edwards was yet to arrive, so I ended up leading the uniform inspection. It's grade 6. And while we were conducting that inspection, we had an informal discussion of why uniform is important and what it means to wear a uniform. And I shared with the students that it kind of occurred to me that when knowing that I was retiring soon, I knew that my favorite activity, really, a small activity, but it's important to me, every morning, getting up, getting ready for work, throwing on my uniform, grabbing our American flag, and then mounting it right in front of the house, and then hopping in the car and going to work. Just a simple act, to me, I realized that just made me proud every day. It was something that I was actually really going to miss when I retired. So I would no longer be doing that. Fortunately, I found the cheat code for that. Becoming a JROTC instructor. Thanks to my experience with the cadets and the galleys, I've now found a future career where I can continue to proudly serve my nation long into the future, although perhaps not 52 years. Thanks again to everyone for joining us today. Some of you might know we were originally going to have the reception at the Ignite Fine Art Museum, just about 10 minutes off base. I don't work for them, and I don't get paid by them, but for those of you who haven't been, once it reopened, they had a fire. That's why we couldn't have a ceremony, reception. I had a fire. When it reopens, go check it out. Amazing antique, neon signs, lots of Americana, and just a really cool environment. That said, we'll make our way across to the Poly Bar. We'll have lots of drinks and food, and please come celebrate with us. Thanks again, everyone.
home, I forgive them, I did.
Okay, now we're done.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Jones. On behalf of the men and women of Air Forces Southern, we are proud to have served with you and wish you the best for you and your family in future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party.